Hey guys, welcome to Travels and Whims. And today we're looking at 24 things you'll want to know before cruising Royal Caribbean. Cruising is a lot of fun. Before my first cruise, my wife and I have been to several all-inclusive destinations all across the Caribbean. Cruising has been on my personal bucket list, but with seasickness an appealing possibility, we have been putting it off until now. Wary of being a cruise virgin, we decided to go on a 4-day cruise to the Bahamas on board Royal Caribbean's Enchantment of the Seas. Needless to say, we had a wonderful time and the future holds more coming tales of our future cruise adventures. Want to know more about cruising? Here are 24 things we've learned from our first cruise that you'd like to know. Tip number 1. You absolutely need to bring all your travel documents when you cruise while keeping them secure inside your stateroom safe. Be sure to bring a valid passport, your US green card if applicable, a visa if applicable, or your government-issued birth certificate for US citizens who don't have a passport. Tip number 2. Dining and beverage packages. Most food items and drinks are complimentary on a cruise ship. However, specialty dining choices are available to those who would like to add a little more opulence to their cruise ship culinary experience. What is typically not complimentary are specialty restaurants, soft drinks, alcoholic drinks, and premium coffee and tea. Everything else, you're good to go. You can also purchase dining packages which will give you discounts for dining at specialty restaurants. Just think of it as a way to have a fine dining experience with premium cuts of beef, exquisite seafood options, delicious appetizers, and sinful desserts. You can also purchase beverage packages if you want. There's a deluxe drink package which includes alcoholic beverages, bottled and sparkling water, fountain sodas, premium coffee and tea, and a souvenir Coca-Cola cup. It costs around $60 a day. Well, there's also the refreshment package which includes non-alcoholic cocktails, bottled and sparkling water, fountain sodas, premium coffee and tea, and this costs around $30 a day. There's also the soda package which includes fountain sodas and a Coca-Cola souvenir cup. This costs around $10 a day, and with the water bottle package which includes 12 or 24 packs of Evian water bottles delivered to your stateroom. Tip number 3. Let's talk about ground transportation. There are plenty of options that can take you from the airport to your port of embarkation and back. So it all depends on what you're expecting and how much you're willing to pay for your ride. So popular options are, you can always opt for the Royal Caribbean ground transport, limo, SUV or van rental service, metered taxi, Uber, a third-party shuttle service which I would personally recommend, or you can also take the bus, which is the most economical. Next are luggage tags. After booking your cruise, you receive an email from Royal Caribbean showing your booking confirmation, along with some instructions and printable luggage tags within the attached PDF document. The luggage tags are for those who wanted to check in their luggages and have crew members deliver your luggage to your stateroom. If you would rather personally bring them to your room, there is no need to print them out. And a couple things to note is, if you want to check in your bags but forget to print your luggage tags, you can always ask a porter where to get generic luggage tags. And depending on how many passengers decide to check their bags in, you might not get your bags until 7 or 8 p.m. Tip number 5. Let's talk about Voom Wi-Fi internet service. This is Royal Caribbean's internet service that provides cruisers the ability to stay connected at sea. It utilizes satellite technology to provide fast internet connectivity that lets you stream Netflix, YouTube, or Hulu in the middle of the sea. Tip number 6. We would recommend booking your excursions in advance through your Royal Caribbean account. For seasoned cruisers, there are cheaper options available at the ports of call, but if you're new to cruising, booking through Royal Caribbean is generally a better option for the following reasons. First, excursion tickets will be ready for you in your assigned stateroom. Second, if there are unexpected delays during your excursion that you've booked through Royal Caribbean, they will generally wait for you. And third, if there are changes in your excursion schedule, you will be notified and a new set of tickets will be sent to your stateroom. Tip number 7. Limited electrical outlets. All of our portable devices have one thing in common. They all needed to be charged after each use. Unfortunately, cruise ships limit the number of electrical outlets in the stateroom for safety purposes. You will not be allowed to bring power strips on board, especially if they have surge protection. What you can do is you can use a USB charging station as shown on the left, or you can purchase a European power adapter as shown on the right. Tip number 8. Bringing wine to your stateroom. Royal Caribbean allows passengers to bring 2 bottles of wine per stateroom upon checking in. Unfortunately, beer and hard liquor are still prohibited. Tip number 9. Laundry services. As a precautionary measure, guests are not allowed to iron their clothes inside the stateroom. Royal Caribbean does offer washing, steaming, and ironing services for an extra charge. You can always opt for these services to keep your clothes fresh and wrinkle-free during formal nights. Tip number 10. Cruise Compass. Cruise Compass is Royal Caribbean's daily newsletter to keep their guests informed of the days ahead. If you lose your copy, you can always ask for another copy from guest services, or you can always use the touchscreen monitors located near the elevators of each floor. The following information is printed on the Cruise Compass: weather conditions, dining schedule and options, entertainment schedules, and special discounts. Tip number 11. Seasickness. When you're on a cruise, the one thing you'll never ever want is to get seasick. It'll ruin everything enjoyable on your vacation. With so much food, drinks, activities, and excursions to enjoy, you really don't want to miss out on any of them. Fortunately, there are ways to prevent you from being seasick. Scopolamine patch, Dramamine, Zofran, ginger pills, sea bands, or choosing a stateroom on a lower deck and located midship. Rooms closest to the front or the stern of the cruise ship experience most of the rocking motion. Tip number 12. Bring cash or credit cards. Cash is great for tipping and for making purchases at ports of call. Some shops accept credit cards, but some of them add around 10 to 12% of the total price just for using your plastic. On the bright side, cash can give you a bargaining edge for your purchases. Just remember, if you use credit cards, make sure they don't charge foreign transaction fees. These fees can quickly add up to a hefty sum at the end of your credit card billing cycle. And secondly, on board this cruise ship, you will be using your SeaPass card to pay for everything. Tip number 13. Get back on the ship as scheduled. Port of calls are a lot of fun, especially if you have booked excursions for yourself and your entire family. But do get back to the ship as scheduled, otherwise the cruise ship will leave you behind and it becomes your responsibility to get to the next port. If this ever happens to you, you can call Royal Caribbean and tell them what happened. They have agents who are willing to help you out. Whatever cost it incurs, it will still be your responsibility. Tip number 14. Cruise ship cabin types. There's the inside cabin, which is the cheapest, ocean view with a great view of the ocean, balcony view, and of course a suite room with all the luxury of cruising. Remember, if you easily get seasick, always choose a room that is located midship and in the lower deck. Tip number 15. Skip the souvenir photos. Taking photos is all about immortalizing precious memories and reliving those moments over and over. But with today's smartphones, everyone's equipped with a really amazing built-in camera that takes awesome pictures. Plus, you can always ask someone to take a picture of you. But if you still prefer to purchase a professionally taken photo on your cruise, purchase them pre-cruise to avail of the discounted price. Tip number 16. Plan on arriving a day early if you're flying in. Just to make sure to avoid possible delays to the airports, just arrive a day ahead and just stay overnight at the hotel. This should give you enough time to get to your port in time for your cruise. Tip number 17. Muster Safety Drill. The Muster Safety Drill is a mandatory drill instigated by the US Coast Guard, so everyone on board will have an idea on how to safely evacuate in case of an emergency at sea. The drill usually lasts between 15 to 25 minutes depending on how fast everyone responds. To ensure everyone's participation, SeaPass cards are scanned by the crew members. Tip number 18. SeaPass Card. SeaPass cards are convenient ways to keep all your information on a single card during the entire cruise. It should have your personal identification. Use this card to make purchases for drinks, spa, excursions, and upon checkout you need to just pay the balance on your card. It is used as stateroom access key, and you need this card to get towels for the pool or for excursions. Tip number 19. Purchase alcohol on board. Stop by the Royal shops and you'll find tons of things you can buy, including several offerings of hard liquor and quality wine selections. However, the liquor you purchase will only be delivered to your cabin on the last day of the cruise. Tip number 20. Pack a small day bag. After you check your luggage in, there's no guarantee what time it will be delivered to your stateroom. If you want to have a change of clothes before your dinner reservation, you can always bring your first set of clothes in your day bag. Day bags are great for holding excursion essentials like beach towels, sunscreens, swimsuits, and bottled water. Tip number 21, gratuities. By default, Royal Caribbean automatically charges an extra 18% service gratuity or equivalent of $14.50 for every person per day on your SeaPass account. For guests staying in suite rooms, the charge is $17.50 per person per day. In the event that you are not satisfied with the level of service, you can always contact guest services and have them change the amount you're paying towards service gratuity. On the other hand, you can always tip a little extra to your favorite crew members for excellent service. Tip number 22, arrive early. This is more of a personal preference, but it does come with a few advantages. Arriving early means arriving at your port of embarkation as early as 11 a.m. Here's why. First, you'll avoid long lines and wait times. Secondly, you'll beat the Windjammer Marketplace crowd during the Welcome Aboard lunch buffet. And lastly, it's a great time to tour the entire ship and take pictures before it gets too crowded. Tip number 23, pregnancy. Royal Caribbean cruising policy states that pregnant women who have entered the 24th week of estimated fetal gestational age at any time during the cruise should not be eligible to sail with the ship. First of all, the ship does not have an OBGYN on board. Pregnancies can potentially be life-threatening when unstable and poorly controlled. Secondly, since the ship is in the middle of the ocean, getting timely expert medical care is very unlikely. Tip number 24, wash your hands often. Because of the recent norovirus scare that has affected cruise ships of late, it is best to practice proper hand hygiene, especially when you're on board a cruise ship. According to the CDC, alcohol-based hand sanitizers can be used in addition to hand washing, not as a substitute. These are our 24 cruising tips you'll want to know before cruising Royal Caribbean. Be sure to check out our blog site at travelsandwhims.com for more exciting articles on travel tips and fashion trends. See you soon!